Hey everyone, welcome back. It's TAVIS Leaf Glover, and today we have another Canon of Design quick tips. Today we're going to be looking at a few of Nick Knight's photos, and this one was requested in the comments below, so if you like an artist, make sure you leave a comment below, let me know who you guys are into, and if you see someone in the comments below that you'd like to see analyzed, put a little like right next to their name, and that'll prioritize that artist for me. Okay, so let's get started with Nick Knight. He has a lot of geometric shapes. One technique he always uses is figure-ground relationship. That's when the figure and the background are clearly separated. So when you use a blank background like Annie Leibovitz, it's pretty easy to get that clear separation. So right here we can see he's really into Photoshop. He's into fashion also, so you're going to see a lot of textures. We can see this geometric shape up here, the circle, and then the clear figure-ground relationship. But if we look closer, we've got repeating shapes, this echoing shapes here. We've got the circle here, we've got that circle, and then inside we've got a few more circles. The reflection of the light, there's a circle of light right here, and then I look closer and some of this drop shadow around this sphere made me think that maybe it could be fake. It still could be, but then I look down at this reflection here on the shirt and it looks pretty realistic, so that'd be hard to Photoshop. So this could be an actual thing she's wearing, but then again, if you follow the circle of this glass container that's supposed to be on her head, it's curving this way, which means the back curve would probably come around here and it actually wouldn't meet the back of her neck. So it does look like it's photoshopped. This part, maybe they had it right next to her to get that reflection, and then they photoshopped in some of the other elements like this, the big sphere, and then some of these lighting effects in the glass ball. But if you look close, you can see this, the edge kind of looks photoshopped, and then she's got this kind of a drop shadow effect around her body, same as this glass sphere. So I'm not critiquing really if it's a good or bad Photoshop job. It looks pretty cool, but that's just stuff that we can notice as we go through these. He's big time into Photoshop, so we'll see a lot of that. Also, one thing about these smaller circles, if you understand the law of proximity and you know how things can change the story a little bit when they're in close proximity to other elements of the image. So this circle right here, it's in close proximity to her nostril, which we all know that people have nose rings, so this is really close to creating the illusion that she has a nose ring, but it's not a big deal because when we're zoomed out we can't really see that small circle right away. If he was going to create another circle to create those echoing shapes, maybe move it a little bit on the cheek or something. So if we remove these circles, we'll see if it affects the composition, but we can tell it adds a little bit to the image. Okay, this one he's also working with the shapes, kind of got that ellipse shape in the hair and then the collar of the outfit. And we'll check out the Aspective View, creating a cool shape with the hair and the outfit, kind of like an alien looking shape. You got a nice figure-ground relationship, obviously, working with colors, the lighting. One thing I noticed is the Photoshop job up on the forehead. At first glance, I didn't really notice that this was an open wound on the forehead with flowers coming out and it was pinned together. It didn't really stand out very much. Notice more like the face, the eye, and then the outfit here, and then the hair. And then this smaller detail on the forehead was something that came later. But if we look closer at it, we'll see that the Photoshop job, it's not as realistic as it could get because the values are a little different. And I think he may have done that to not bring so much attention up to the forehead as opposed to the eyes, because that's exactly where our eyes have gone, is not the forehead, it's to the eyes and the face really, and the outfit, all the contrast down here. So what he might have done to make this more realistic is to, if we look even closer, we can see that pin has a nice highlight running down it, but then it's lost right around here. And then if we follow it down, it's lost right here and right here. And we're also looking for drop shadows. This could probably have a deeper shadow on the bottom. And then these flowers, the forehead is lit, but then the flowers are not as bright as the forehead. So it looks like they darken this. If you're looking for a more realistic type of Photoshop job, you got to pay attention to the highlights and the shadows to make it more realistic. So I added highlights to that pin and brightened up the flowers just a little bit. Okay, you can see the difference there. Only problem is if you go too far, you're bringing more attention back to the forehead instead of the face and the outfit. So you got to find a nice balance. You want it to look realistic, but you don't want it to draw attention away from what your story is. So that's just a little critique there. Okay, here's another one. So yeah, also textures, shapes, and then I did notice this sinister diagonal going exactly from this box and then also to her hand and meeting that, and then going down the flow of the dress here. So that was interesting to find. So then I aligned the Micro Four Thirds grid to see if he used that. We can see some things locking in, like her hand, this coming around here, her other hand here, this dress here lining up with the center horizontal, and then down here obviously this diagonal here, this, and then if you follow up some areas of contrast, this area here, go up the Baroque diagonal, this right here locking in right here, the sinister reciprocal diagonal. So then that got me thinking, okay, maybe he's actually photoshopping more than what we can actually see, because this image here, I actually thought it was I thought it was one piece, and then maybe he put some powder on the dress and he made her spin around. But then when you look closer, when you Photoshop a lot, you get to know some tricks, and you can see certain things that stand out. So you can see some of the focus is different, like right here it's sharp, and then over here it's blurry a little bit. That could be the movement, but also it could be things being photoshopped in layers. It's a very good job of Photoshop, like this powder coming off that looks like it could have been photoshopped, just the way the values are looking. And then let's see, up here some of the powder could have been photoshopped in, because this looks perfect. This looks too perfect to be natural. See how it's round there, and then over here it's kind of like broken up. That's more natural looking. Right here it looks more rounded and photoshopped. Very good job at Photoshop, but we can see some things that stand out. But if you know Photoshop like that, and you can use the grid, you can align the elements, the different Photoshop elements and layers to the grid, and create that geometry and align these diagonals, all kinds of fun stuff. And then we can see this triangular shape he's creating there, so that's more geometry for you. This one, we obviously have the nice figure ground relationship, aspective view. We've got that one going on. We covered that in the Joseph Kudelka video. The aspective view allows us to identify the shape easier. If this was a silhouette type of situation, we'll see that her shape is very identifiable. We can tell it's a woman walking, the nice legs and the figure. We also got a nice arabesque coming down like the neck, down the body, and then down this leg here. This one, we've also got nice figure ground relationship. When you use this blank backdrop, this blank canvas, it's one less thing to worry about. That doesn't mean you need to use a blank canvas to get nice figure ground relationship. You just need to be aware of it so you can incorporate it. Okay, so she's also got a nice aspective view, but one thing we can notice when we silhouette this one is that the actual aspective view is really nice, but there is this elbow sticking out. It makes it look like she's got a lump on her back, which is maybe an illusion that you want to avoid. Another thing we can kind of analyze is the colors he's using, how he's photoshopping the color of the body. The background is also photoshopped, but then the face is photoshopped as well. So I tried to recreate that and let you guys know how he's doing it. So I basically just selected the background, easy selection, inversed it to select the body, and then put a color on there with the color layer mode, so we get this blue color. But if you take it off that layer mode and put it back to normal, it's this color. Okay, that kind of cyan looking turquoise color. And then when it's on the color layer mode, you can see the body and the tones of the body coming through. It creates that effect. I also messed around with the hue and saturation to make it purple. Let me go in here, and you can switch this hue layer and change the color as well. So you can just mess around if you want to try and recreate that look. Mess around with saturation and then the lightness as well. Recreate that Nick Knight look if you want. This one, we got a nice arabesque going through there. Pretty cool looking. I actually thought this one was a dress as well. I thought he's just getting these cool designers, creating these awesome dresses, and then having the model pose in a certain way. But then when you look closer, you can see these straight edges here, kind of a straight edge photoshopped over with the dress. This is just his style. It's not critiquing that it's a bad job, but I can notice these are definitely photoshopped. It looks like maybe he grabbed some material, bent it around the body. You can see right here the pattern's a little warped. It's a little got that warped look right here. Here as well, definitely straight. This one looks stretched right here. The pattern looks stretched. Straight edges here for the pattern. This one looks warped right here. But he's doing a good job to create a cool image. This one is very straight. Definitely photoshopped. Definitely cool though. And I noticed that these lines are paralleling right here in the dress. So then I put a grid on there, the same one that he used before, the Micro Four Thirds. and I was surprised that it lined up perfectly right here. I was thinking maybe in post he photoshopped the dress to lock into the grid here, but then he's also not meeting the edges here. That's too far off to match the same geometry of the diagonals he's incorporating. So then I found another grid that lined up, and it was the phi grid. So maybe it does lock in a little bit in certain areas like these arms here, and you could get away with using this grid for sure, locking in but I would expect that the dress would lock in more. So I was thinking maybe he used the Micro Four Thirds grid to design it, but then he thought there was way too much negative space on the right and left, and he cropped it to a phi grid, and then it looked fine as well, so he just kept it that way. Who knows what he did, but either way you can tell that the grid is helping create this shape of the dress and the mop. See, this one's locking in here up in the forearm, the arms. Okay, the dress is definitely right here, down here, and then if we look at the phi one, you can see this diagonal's coming down here. The arms are definitely locking in here, but I like the way that the Micro Four Third grid locks in, but then the shape of the rectangle looks a lot better with the phi grid. So let's look at the Aspective View real quick. So there's the shape he's creating. You can see the Arabesque pretty good there, but very cool, unique shape there. Lots of textures, a lot of Photoshop, but he's using techniques like figure ground relationship, Aspective View, colors, using the grid, arabesques, repeating, echoing shapes, all that stuff. So that's Nick Knight. Thank you for suggesting that one. Be sure to leave a comment in the section below, and huge thanks for all the support. You guys keep the site going, and I really appreciate you all. But that's it for today. I'll talk to you later.